Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining the Think Realty podcast. If you've downloaded it or you're watching on YouTube, we're just happy that you chose to take a few minutes out of your day to join us. And I hope that we'll be of value to you so that you can say that this 20 minutes was the best 20 minutes you spent all day. We've got a fantastic guest coming up in just a second, but let me say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor. This podcast is brought to you by Civic Financial Services, proudly serving brokers and investors. Civic is the reliable lender for real estate investments, including buy and hold, fix and flip, or fix to rent. To learn more, go to CivicFS, as in Frank and Sally, civicfs.com. And if you put forward slash Think Realty in there, they've got something special for you. So we'd love to have you go there and support our podcast sponsor. We've got a fantastic guest today. She actually has been the MC of some of our events. She's provided a lot of great content for our events. And so I want to welcome to the show today, Shenoah Grove. Shenoah, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be here. Yes, very honored to be the MC last year at the Think Realty event and excited to be going back again this year. So the audience was jam-packed. Everyone was in their seats listening to everything about the forecast, some of the new investing trends. Listen, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I had so many notes in my notebook of all the different takeaways to add to my business as well. So this is a great place, a great opportunity to meet just incredible people in the industry, learn from others, find support, and just take your business to the next level. So excited to be headed back to that coming up in March.
Absolutely. And if you haven't bought your tickets yet, make sure you buy your tickets. As a matter of fact, if you put in the code word podcast, you get a buy one, get one free on the tickets. Shenoah, I know a lot of people from our space know you. You run a really big real estate investor group out of Texas. But let's kind of get to know you a little bit more than just, running the real estate group or, some of the investing that you've done. How did you get into real estate? Why did you choose that path, or did that path choose you?
Well, in truth, I'm a fourth generation real estate investor. My great grandparents invested, my grandparents invested. My parents still have 12 doors to this day. But like many people my age, I was socialized to go to college and to get a job, and that was the path to success, wealth, income, etc. And for a long time as a young woman, I would introduce my mom as, this is my mom, the slumlord. How terrible is that? Yes, I am a redheaded stepchild. But at one point, I realized when I was working my tail off in corporate America that I had to change the way that I introduced my mom to, this is my mom, the millionaire, not just millionaire, but the multimillionaire, not because of what she did in her corporate career, but all of what she did in real estate and real estate investing. So it provided a comfortable income for her, a lot of income for her, and a really comfortable retirement for her. So that's how I got into it. I cut my teeth. My first investment property I did when I was probably 22 years old. Then I went into corporate America and took about an 8-year break, and then jumped back in all the way in 2003. And I have not updated my resume since 2003. In fact, my resume is in some version of DOS, but even the techies of the techie people that are here listening today couldn't resurrect it, nor would I want you to, because I love what I do in real estate, and I love what I do in helping other people. When people ask me what I do, obviously, I buy and sell houses. I flip properties, I hold properties. We've got a ton of rental properties here in Central Texas. And I always like to say that I turn unrelenting, unwilling, unconvertible, uncontractable, unclosable homeowners into motivated sellers. And I do it all on an unachievable timeline while solving unsolvable problems. That's what I do in my real estate investing side of my business. But in part of what I do as part of Texas REIAs is I help people quit jobs that they hate so that they can do things that they love. And it feels absolutely amazing as people take a look at their lives and decide what they want to do. And many people find that real estate investing is the fastest way to build an incredible income, incredible wealth, and just really have that freedom that I think we're all looking for.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's funny because if you go back 10 years ago, I feel like everybody in the real estate investment space actually know what a REIA is. Today, it's like the REIAs are so far and few and far between, and maybe that was COVID and really pre-COVID. Do you mind just explaining to the audience that maybe doesn't even know what a REIA is, what it is that you do or what a REIA is?
Yeah, so I think in many cases, YouTube has taken the role of the Real Estate Investor Association, especially even over the last, 5 years. It's funny, I have a little joke at my meeting that I ask who here is attending university. And then I get a couple of hands, and then I say, who in here is attending YouTube University? And then usually 10 to 15% of the hands roll up. So really, this is a community. And I think one of the things we found that was missing in our lives after we kind of got back from COVID is that community. So as part of the Real Estate Investor Association, we provide that community. We provide we always say like for our association, so we have associations all throughout Texas, Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. And we say we're Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that actually work in Texas. So for those folks who are kind of on YouTube University, they're learning maybe strategies that work in other people's market, but maybe not strategies that are working in the market that you are currently in. Yeah. So for us, we teach, we live here, we work here, we invest here. I'm actually an active realtor and broker in the great state of Texas as well. So I know all the laws. And this is where you come to get information about investing, what's working now, what's not working now, the laws, the contract changes, and how you can succeed no matter what disruption, is thrown at you, right? So everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And when they get punched in the face is when they really look around to say, hey, who can help me with this? Yeah. And it's interesting because I get a lot of people who teach nationally who can only go so deep in their knowledge, specifically, in Texas, and then they'll say, go to your local Real Estate Investor Association meeting because we have the answers to the questions that you guys have. We have the team that you guys are looking for to be successful. And ultimately, real estate investing is about building a great team so that you're not doing it everything yourself, so you can actually scale and grow your business.
Sure. Yeah, I love it. I'm such a huge proponent of the Real Estate Investor Association and associations, these smaller groups, these communities, because I think it is hyper-local. And real estate by nature is hyper-local. There's a lot of people that are trying to wholesale nationally. There's a lot of people like me that'll buy a lot of properties outside of the state I live in. But the reality of it is if you don't get the fundamentals right in your backyard, you really are just going to cause exponential problems when you go outside of your backyard. And I think, for me, I'm a third generation real estate investor. So grandfather, father, me, you've got me beat by one generation, but for me, it was more like osmosis. Like we talked about it, my grandparents talked about it at the dinner table, my parents talked about it at the dinner table. I learned so much, but what you lack is just that local information. And so I love and have attended REIAs for years. Sometimes I just kind of sit in the back of the room. Sometimes I'll get up and speak. But the reality of it is like just knowing what's going on, and then the amount of deals and just opportunities that come out of them, because it's like you said, it's Texans helping Texans, right? It's like it's neighbors helping neighbors in that community with the same like mind. And so I'm a huge proponent. And if you are a Think Realty listener, viewer, and are not participating in one of these REIAs and you live in Texas, you are missing out. And I know that Chanoa runs a fantastic group. So Shenoah, because you are all over the state of Texas, you're a broker or you're a broker agent, I'm curious, in your opinion, the whole world is investing in Texas, right? It's like Florida, Texas. I live in Florida, you live in Texas, and it seems like the entire world looks at us and tries to buy our real estate, right? And so I'm curious, from an insider's perspective, what are the hot markets in Texas? Like, where do you look? Are you looking more macro and going more like Dallas and Austin and Houston, San Antonio, or are you going like micro, like Brownsville, or are you going into these more micro markets and investing?
Well, for me personally, I'm investing in the 4 major markets, so Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio. Now, if you live in Brownsville or McAllen or El Paso, then I would highly recommend that you invest there. Yeah. But if you look at the population trends, and I love getting into the numbers and studying that, if you look at the population trends, the only reason to, stay in some of these smaller cities other than kind of the major 4 is because you inherited land there that that you can't sell, right? You inherited the family farm. But if you look at all the migration, all the growth is occurring around around those major cities, and kind of in between those major cities as well. So, for me, I like to go where there's already a market taking place. So I don't necessarily want to create the market, but I want to go into an area where there's an active market. Because what I've found is when the market's going up, everything looks wonderful, everything looks fantastic. When the market's going down, the tide raises all ships. When the market's going up, the tide sinks the ships in sort of the outlying areas, right? First, as the market starts to go down. So for me, it's a safer bet to always be in those stronger markets where people are always moving, and for, the big thing that I look at is always migration trends, right? I was looking at a report recently for people who are moving basically from San Francisco to Austin, and the U-Haul rates. And it's basically they'll pay you to take that U-Haul from Austin all the way back to San Francisco, because so many people are moving out of, the Bay Area, right? And moving to Texas. And I'm sure it's the exact same way if you look at Florida as well. So for me, I look at those migration trends. For me, I also, if I compare Texas versus Florida, and I love this book. I'm not sure if you've read it or not, but it's called Upside: Profiting from the Profound Demographic Shifts That Are Ahead. And probably my favorite quote in this book is from when they say that high taxes don't redistribute income. High taxes redistribute people, right? Where does it redistribute people to? To places like Texas and Florida, where, the taxes are low, it's very business friendly. But the people that we find that are moving to Texas specifically are more still in their childbearing years than most of the people who are moving to Florida, just on average, right? Yes. So, if you're investing for the long term, which I am, so I've already been doing this for 20 years, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop me from doing it for another 20. But if you're investing for the long term, you want to take advantage of not just the in-migration, but also the natural population growth that's occurring in the city and in the States. And you're seeing that in spades here in these major markets here in Texas. There's obviously energy, financial markets, in Houston. Every single national company that wants to test anything goes to Dallas first. Austin is obviously a huge tech hub, and San Antonio is growing as well from a tech standpoint and other standpoint as well, just because it's one of the most affordable markets here in Texas. So there's a lot of opportunity in these major markets in Texas. And again, if you want to be recession proof, those are the markets that I would suggest that you go in, just because the other ones, even though prices, value, sales have gone up in some of those outlying areas, those are typically the areas that get hit first whenever there's any sort of a change or adjustment in the marketplace. Yeah, that's great. I love the analogy that you used about how really the big giant metropolitan areas are really the deep water, right? And so like as tide goes down, they're still deep enough to sustain, investment growth. A fantastic illustration there. For you right now, if you are looking, like which markets are you looking to buy in right now? I know you said all four, but is there one out of the rest that really has your eye or attention right now? Well, I love the Austin market. So for me, from my buy and holds, I typically keep those in that Central Texas, Austin market area. For my fix and flips, I have, because I run the local REIAs, and a big part of the REIA is just having that local team, right? So I've got teams in San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas as well, which enable me to, invest as if it were in my own backyard. But for my buy and holds, my preference really is more Austin. Houston sometimes gets hit. In fact, in the last 5 years, I think it's gotten hit 3 times by 1 in 100 year flooding and hurricanes, right? Dallas gets hit, for, the tornadoes and hailstorms. San Antonio doesn't really have any weather. That's why all the data centers like to locate there. But Central Texas, there's something kind of special about that for me. And if you look at the price growth in Central Texas, specifically the Austin area for the buy and holds, and that's the basis of all of my wealth. It has grown there more than any of the other markets. So again, for my buy and holds, keep it close to home. For my fix and flips, I can rotate those out in any of those 4 major markets. Yeah, I love it. I'm a huge fan of Texas real estate. One of the best apartment complexes I've ever invested in has been in Austin on 6th Street. If I could have found 10 more of those deals, I would have bought them as fast
fast as I possibly could. It's interesting too, because it really seems like that corridor between Austin and San Antonio is really growing together. It's like
kind of merging. Yeah.
it's like almost a split, and it's like half is a suburb of Austin, the other half's a suburb of San Antonio. So they're seeing a lot of growth in that corridor as well.
Kind of like we did between Dallas and Fort Worth, right? So it used to be Dallas and Fort Worth. Now all of these inner cities are getting so much focus and attention. The same way Austin and San Antonio are making a beautiful little baby in the middle, for sure.
Very good. I love Fort Worth too. I've looked at so many deals in Fort Worth. I invested right at the end of the year in some deals in Fort Worth. The Bass brothers have done such a fantastic job with downtown, and and now those outer lying areas, especially going north up into ranch country now, right, where everybody in Dallas is going out there and buying 20, 30, 40 acres so they can create their own Yellowstone, But anyways, it's interesting like how much growth is even going there. So it's like it just seems like it feels like you can almost throw a dart at the map in Texas and make money if it's even close to proximity to the four markets you talk about. What are some of the investment trends you're seeing?
Relocating too. All of these companies are relocating, from Illinois to Florida, right? From Illinois to Texas. So you're seeing that, and from California. Elon Musk puts on a cowboy hat and sits with Governor Abbott and says, "I'm a Texan now," and then half of California wants to, come over to take part in it as well. So I'm sorry, did I interrupted you?
No, you're so true. It's like, between Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, I feel like they've, probably increased the net worth of Austin by another, and Tesla. It's like that Tesla plant in Austin is just ridiculous. It's unbelievable. I drove by it a couple months ago. It's interesting because there's definitely some trends going on right now. Build to rent is really, really popular. And some of my friends are, man, I remember 2008 through 2010, and new construction in a recession is terrifying, and it's like, it's so different this time. As a generational real estate investor like you and I are, I've had the benefit of watching, I've invested through 3 economic cycles, but I've watched my parents and grandparents, invest through, I don't know how many, economic cycles. What trends are you seeing right now, or are you feeling most positive about? Obviously, I'm a buy and hold person just like you are. I only lament the deals that I ever sold. It doesn't even bother me the deals that I lost money on in flipping. That doesn't bother me a bit. That was just a lesson learned. The deals I most lament are the ones I sold 2, 3, 4, 10 years ago that I wish I still had. But what trends are you seeing, and what would you push people towards?
Yeah, it's the exact same thing here. There are streets that I can't even drive by that, because I wish I would not have sold, some of those different properties. So, for me, where the market is right now, I remember as we were starting to raise interest rates in March and through all of 2022, I heard a lot of people say the quote, "Well, when interest rates come back down." And I was listening to the Fed chairman of the St. Louis Fed on a Wall Street Journal interview today. And I don't really think that those interest rates are going to be coming back down, at least not anytime soon. So, for me, the last year, as interest rates have started to go up, have been some of my best times as a landlord, right? So my rents have gone up. I've got more applicants. I've got more high quality applicants because so many people are sitting on the sidelines. So sales are down about 30%, but where's everyone going? They're moving to rental properties. So, for me, I want to do 2 things. So number 1, I want to generate income to live my lifestyle that I feel comfortable with, not over living it, but living my lifestyle that I feel comfortable with. But I also want to generate wealth. And the best way to generate wealth is through those properties that you ultimately hold. So, and for us as real estate investors, we always know that term, that saying, you make your money on the buy, right? So, but the truth is that any mistake that you make on the buy by overpaying can be remedied with time and appreciation through holding on to this property and holding it as a rental property. And you mentioned kind of going back in a time machine, 15 years ago, to 2008. And yeah, I mean, we should have bought up every single thing that, we could. The issue is no one knew how long that recession would last. But over the last couple of years, I've kind of done some studies on recessions, and on average, most recessions are less than 2 years. So as long as you plan on holding a property for more than that 2-year period and a long enough time for that appreciation to do its magic, right? Do its work, which is for those of us who are landlords, which is really their job is to build your wealth and make you rich. That's really something that you want to do with as many properties as you can. So, listening to two people who've been doing it for a long time, two people who have been doing it generationally for a long time, and any other investor, you will also hear them say they don't necessarily remember the properties where they made, $20, $50, $100, $200,000 on. They remember the ones that have built their wealth and have doubled and doubled and doubled in value while paying them cash flow. So I like to get a mix of those properties that will build my cash flow so I can have income. So we have an ice cream here in Texas. It's called Bluebell ice cream. Mm-hmm. You probably have heard of it. It's not nationwide at this point, but they have this slogan. They say, we eat all we can and we sell the rest. So I've always, for the last 20 years, have said I have the Bluebell ice cream investing philosophy, which is I keep all of the properties that I possibly can, and I sell the rest just enough to build that income out. And I think if more people would look at it that way, I think a lot more people will build more wealth into their future.
That's awesome. I love it. The Bluebell investing strategy. I like that a lot. I got a friend, his name's Johnny Pope. He lives up in Houston. And every time I'm there, he's like, we got to eat Bluebell. Like, it's no matter what. It's every restaurant. Do you have Bluebell ice cream? He's in love with it. But, well, very good. We are out of time. I appreciate everything. Fantastic information. Thank you for the insight. And thank you for being a part of our Houston conference coming up.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and we'll see you there. And guys, don't miss it. Get your tickets. Last year it was practically sold out. I mean, the room was so full. I think there was like standing room only, sort of in the back part of it, and lots of incredible vendors. People really sharing some of that tribal knowledge and creating that community that's so valuable in terms of building out your real estate and building your success. So looking forward to it. Eddie, take care. Have a good one.
Awesome. Thank you, Chanoa. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks one more time to our podcast sponsor. Podcast has been brought to you by Civic Financial Services. They proudly serve brokers and investors. Civic is the reliable lender for real estate investments, including buy and hold, fix and flip, or fix to rent. To learn more, visit civicfsfranksalley.com/think realty, and they will help you there. Also, one last thing I want you to do. We've been talking about the Houston event coming up on March 23rd and 24th. If you haven't purchased your tickets for that event, I want you to go to thinkrealty.com, click on the events button, click Houston, and get your events there. If you type in the word podcast, it's a buy one, get one free for that. And again, like Shenoah said, it is almost a sellout event. It might sell out this year, but you want to be a part of it. We've got some fantastic speakers. You don't want to be even in close proximity to that event and not partake of it. It is crafted and created just for you. We want to see you there. And if you're not getting your Think Realty magazine on your doorstep, make sure you go to thinkrealty.com and subscribe for the magazine, as well as you can pick it up on the shelves of Barnes & Noble nearest you. Have a great day, and good luck with your next investment.